Well, folks, good evening to one and all, and this is the just about ready to go to the grid for race number 2, and that's where we're at. We are at Donington Park, and we are riding the Formula 1600s. It's going to be brilliant stuff, there's no doubt about it. Let's have a look at the grid. So, that is our grid, the invert from race number 1, Raymond Duggan, Sway Hubert on the front row. Whoa! Andre Steenkamp and Paul Webber on the second row. Stephen McCarthy on the third row with Leon van Wyk. Michael Stevens still to enter. In fact, the Steven brothers alongside one another in 7th and 8th position on the 4th row of the grid. Sandra Bakari, the leading of the Grand Masters, ahead of Robert Briggs, that finds himself in that 9th position. Willem Botha, Gerald Fourie, and JJ van der Merwe. And that on the invert grid means that Gerald Fourie was the winner of race number 1, but Willem Botha second, and Robert was the next man in there behind that. We're just about good to go. The green lights is on, and away we go, and this is the start of race number 2. It's Raymond Duggan from Sway Hubert. Andre Steenkamp moves up into that second position. Paul Webber in third. Leon van Wyk in that 4th position. Is everybody going to make it through? It looks like it. Oh, no, well, just as I said, it looks like it. It definitely doesn't happen. Sway Hubert was the man that went off. Raymond Duggan was also off the circuit. Oh, that looks like one of the Steven brothers in the Marlboro car that's on the outside of the circuit and dropping down. That probably was Graham Stephen. Yeah, it's Graham Stephen that finds himself now swallowed up in the pack, and there's cars going off in the background as well. There was Wesley Lewin was one of the guys that went off there. It's Raymond Duggan that leads out. Then it's Michael Stephen. In the absence of Graham Stephen, it's Sway Hubert. Stephen McCarthy's holding sway. I had a lovely dice for Stephen McCarthy in the practice session on Monday evening. Robert Briggs in that 5th position. In behind Robert Briggs is Leon van Wyk in the 79 car. Oh, they swapping, chopping and changing at the front end of the pack. As I said, this was going to be very, very tight. Look at that whole bunch of cars coming through there. Gerald Fourie finds himself in that 6th position ahead of Willem Botha. Graham Stephen, the recovering Graham Stephen in the Marlboro colours, is the next man to come through behind that. Looks like everybody's going to make it through the second last corner without too much problems. But the action is pretty much in that front section. Can you believe it? It's Michael Stephen that's broken away a bit. But look at this fight behind that. Massive stuff. Leon van Wyk in a row of 3 cars there. I see 1 or 2 guys. Looks like it's gone into the pits. Yeah, it's Willem Botha and Graham Stephen. They've climbed out of that pack and gone into the pits. They don't want to get stuck in that little bit of a hollow, if you want to call it that, because Michael Stevens up, dusted and disappeared. You can see him in the frame as he runs away from the rest of the guys. Robert Briggs, Stephen McCarthy's right in there behind him. Stephen's doing a lovely job. He's staying ahead of Leon van Wyk, but Leon van Wyk, I think it's a matter of time. And yeah, Gerald Fourie has gone through. Stephen McCarthy drops back. Sway Hubert, I think, was the other man that went off the circuit there. There's just so much happening, trying to pick up as much of it as possible side by side. Leon on the outside line, the 11th car is Gerald Fourie. Gerald Fourie sitting in there behind Leon van Wyk. Directly behind that is Sway Hubert as Gerald Fourie wins out on that competition between himself and Leon van Wyk. Sway Hubert, it's Carl Lawrence, it's Stephen McCarthy, it's Raymond Duggan, he's in there as well. Raymond Duggan doing a pretty decent job. He's got the pressure on, and he's got the iron brew up on the inside of the 33 of Stephen McCarthy. I think Raymond Duggan's going to be able to make it one stick. Yep, he will go one further forward. And going back to the front end of the field, well, let's go right to the front. There's Michael Stephen, then there's Robert Briggs, then there's Gerald Fourie, Leon van Wyk, Sways, Carl, Raymond, and Stephen are the next guys coming through there. Well, there's another 2 guys that's going into the pit lane. 3, in fact. Carl Lawrence, Raymond Duggan, and the leading Grandmaster, Sandro Bakari, has also gone into the pit lane. Where's Peter van der Spy? There goes Peter van der Spy. He goes straight past. He's decided that he's just going to make up positions. He's got some open ground in front of him at this stage of the fight. Carl Lawrence is on his way out of the pits. So if we have a look at who's done those pit stops so far and who's not, yep, as I expected, Carl Lawrence is actually then the leading man that's been side by side, wheel to wheel. You can't let those wheels touch that mild 7. Ooh, lovely colors in the mild 7 car. I must say that looks very, very nice. And the Ferrari colors in there behind that with the Shell insignia on it. Some really good looking motor cars. So the man that is leading out, in fact, at this stage of the fight, having been in and out of the pits, is in fact Carl Lawrence. Then a little bit further back, Willem Botha. He is the second man that has been in and out of the pits. Don't forget about the Marlboro kid. That is Graham Stephen. But of the guys that have not been into the pits yet, brother Michael leads them out very, very neatly. He's got 2.4 seconds on the next man. That is Robert Briggs. There comes Gerald Ferree. There is Leon van Wyk. Swys Hubert, the next man coming through. Stephen McCarthy still holding in with that top 6 group. Then Johan Engelbrecht, a bit of a gap behind Johan Engelbrecht to go back to Peter van der Spey. That's his favorite. 137.3 by Robert Briggs. Look at that Lotus colors in the hands of Peter van der Spey. He finds himself ahead there of Wesley Lewin, Andre Steenkamp in the man that normally rides in the Batmobile colors. A nice little battle going on behind that. That's Leonardo Bakari, and he's got Carl Lawrence there with him. But remember, all of these guys have not been into the pits yet. Once they go into the pits, it's going to be a different story. If we look at who has been into the pits, it's still Carl Lawrence. And Carl Lawrence leads out by a phenomenal gap at this stage of the fight from the second man, Graham Stephen. They are on track at the moment in 12th. Oh, look at that battle. He can't get tied up in that one. Carl Lawrence, he's got to keep himself nice and clean. He's got past Leonardo Bakari. Now he will be able to have a bit of open track in front of him. In fact, let's just have a look, see whereabouts they are on the track. And let's see. Carl Lawrence, he's got 4 seconds of open ground in front of him, has Carl Lawrence. So even though he's been into the pits, he's got 4 seconds, and it's not a problem because Andre Steenkamp's going to have to come in at some point. And Andre, being the gentleman, you'll probably find if Carl, the leader, gets to him, he will make space. But talking about the front end, Michael Stephen, Robert Briggs, Gerald Ferree, Leon van Wyk, Stephen McCarthy. There Stephen McCarthy comes through as he changes the line. That's the top 5. Then you've got Swys Hubert, Johan Engelbrecht, very nice. Johan Engelbrecht in that 7th position. Captain Peter van der Spey coming into the pits is Andre. As I said, Andre Steenkamp was the next car that was going to be ahead of Carl Lawrence, and he has now gone into the pits. So Carl Lawrence is in fact the lead car that's been in and out of the pits at the moment. Leonardo Bakari still has to go into the pits, so he will drop down. And then the next man, in fact, will be Willem Botha. He's the second man out on circuit that has been in and out of the pits. Let's have a look at Swys Hubert and Stephen McCarthy. Swys Hubert all over the back end there of Stephen McCarthy. Let's have a look. What can he do? He's going to be on the wrong side of the circuit for the left and right-hander. But looks like he's jumped on the braking. He's going to make it. He's going to make it through. And there was a nice little passing maneuver. You see he's even got a bit of space between the two of them. Where is our leader, Michael Stephen? There's Michael Stephen. Is Michael Stephen going to go into the pits? If he is, it's going to be now. Nope, he's got open ground. He stays there. Robert stays there. Gerald stays there. There comes Leon. Leon looks like he's going to go straight past. Swys Hubert, also not having been into pits yet. Swys is going to carry on. Stephen McCarthy, he's dropped back a little bit. Fastest lap there by Gerald Ferree. Johan Engelbrecht, he's involved in that fight, and he's going to go into the pits. Peter van der Spey is going to go straight past, or Wesley Lewin will go straight past as well. Johan Engelbrecht is in, and that means that man, Carl Lawrence, still the lead car out there. Carl's having the race of his life right now, And there is nobody else that's really getting closer to him, if you think about it, because if you look at the gap between Carl Lawrence and the Bakari, who has not been in the pits, is 5 seconds. Then it's another 5 seconds you add on that to get to Willem Botha. So that means a 10-second gap at this stage of the fight between the two guys, the two top guys that have been into the pits, Carl Lawrence and Willem Botha. Gerald Fourie in a massive battle there with Robert Briggs. The ominous view of the front end of Gerald Fourie. Nice and close to that curbstone under the braking. Tries to turn it in tighter. Gets a good little turn in there. Will it be enough? Gerald in the 11. He's on the right hand side. I don't think he's going to be able to get past there. He's going to maybe do the cutback. Nope, the cutback line is covered as well. Gerald Fourie is being held out by Robert Briggs. Let's go on board and see what that looks like if you're sitting behind the steering wheel. That's if you're Robert Briggs. And that is if you are Gerald Fourie, who's just put up the fastest lap. But why? Probably because he's picked up a little bit of a slipstream as well. Cannot get any closer than that. That is awesome driving by these two guys. Nice and smooth. Carry as much as you can. Use the curbstone underneath the bridge. Blind rise over that left hand top corner. Dive for the inside. He's in deep enough. Can he turn it tight enough? Yes, he does. And he does exactly what he needs to do. He makes sure that he gets past Robert. Robert's going to try and now get the slingshot with him as they work their way down the straight. The next one's going to be that left-right-hander. The car in front is Michael Steven. You can see Michael Steven's about to turn left. There it is. Second and third alongside one another. Oh, they are just giving one another enough space. And that is where the gap comes. Gerald Fourie has put the pressure onto Robert Briggs. And now there's a bit of a gap between the two of them. Leon van Wyk, the next man that's coming through. I wonder if these guys are going to be going into the pits this time around. Nope, there is already... no, well, let's see. That's... no, Michael Stevens not going in. Gerald's not going in. Robert's not going in. Leon also going to carry that one through. Swayze Hubert. Yeah, Swayze is going to go through. So all of these guys have got a bit of space in front of them. They're not too worried at this stage of the fight. As long as you've got space in front of you, you don't worry to go into the pits. You just keep on trucking. You don't want to come out in a whole bunch of traffic. Wesley Lewin is getting onto the back end there of Peter van der Spy. So I wouldn't be surprised with 12 minutes and 8 of the 16 laps gone, pretty much halfway in the race. I wouldn't be surprised if Wesley Lewin cannot get past and around Peter van der Spy, or use, if Peter van der Spy is a bit quicker than him, Leonardo Bakari and Carl Lawrence have just gone into the pits, use the slipstream to make himself a little bit quicker. So if Carl Lawrence has gone into the pits, that's going to be pretty interesting stuff. Why did Carl go back into the pits again? That's very strange. Michael Stevens still leads them out. A little bit of net code coming through there. Wesley Lewin on Peter van der Spy. Trying every single trick in the book, but you don't catch Captain Peter out that easily. Well, if he can get the drive and the late break, he would now be able to go around the outside of Peter, but I think Peter's going to hold on to it. Peter's going to hold on to that one. He times it perfectly. Now the next run by Wesley Lewin is going to be to try and have a dive up on the inside of Peter van der Spy. Nope, he's going to go for the deep entrance, the serious cutback. Now dive towards the left-hand side. Well, Captain Pete's doing it all right. He's making sure that Wesley just cannot get through there. Willem Botha, well, Stephen McCarthy's hit the pit lane. And so does Peter van der Spy. He doesn't want to get involved in that fight. He really does not want to get involved in that fight at all. Paul Webber is not that far behind. Graham Stephen while Stephen McCarthy is into the pits. Willem Botha now becomes the lead car for Stephen McCarthy. That's going to start dropping down. So Willem Botha, of everybody that's been in and out of the pits, that is your lead man. He's got 5 seconds on that man there, Graham Stephen, almost in the same shot. Paul Webber, that's directly behind him, has still got to do a pit stop, so that one doesn't make too much. Sandro Bakari, what a drive. He's in 10th position. It's the third of the guys that have been in and out of the pits. I do believe Willem Botha's in a pretty decent position. 14 seconds between Wesley Lewin and Willem Botha. Let's have a look at that pit lane time in total. Oh, you're looking at about 38-42 seconds is your total time from when you go into the pits until you come out. Your total lost time. So if you take 40 seconds and you add that, that makes Willem Botha the man that looks very, very solid to be able to win this one. Michael Stevens gone into the pits. Michael Stevens is in fact on his way out of the pits. Where will he come out? Surely that will be ahead of Willem Botha. Where is Willem Botha? There, Willem Botha coming out of the last corner. So that's an interesting turnout for the books. It is in fact Michael Stevens that recovers that leading position of the people that have pit stopped. Willem Botha in that second position. Then brilliantly Sandro Bakari. What a drive! So far, my driver of the day for race number 2 for Donington Park in the form of the 1600s has got to be the Bats entry of Sandro Bakari. 9th overall on circuit, with still 5 of the cars in front of him that have to go in and out of the pit lane. Not far behind them is Raymond Duggan in the Iron Brew car. Remember, he had problems earlier on. Oh, looks like Willem Botha had a bit of an off track. Couldn't have been too much major because he hasn't dropped a position. Just keep the hammer down and keep it calm. Don't do anything fancy. And he gets it back onto the track again. Let's have a look at some of the other incidents that have happened, because we've got a little bit of time. This was where Raymond Duggan had his crash. All fine under braking, nothing goes wrong there. And then just gets on the loud pedal a little bit too quickly. What happened to Graham Stephen earlier on? Dives for that inside line. Hard on the brakes, turns it in. 2 cars in the same area. That one doesn't work. Graham Stephen loses out on that one. I think you'll be a bit disappointed with that, because he didn't actually do anything wrong. It was the car on the outside that turned in on him. Leonardo Bakari had an incident earlier on as well. Let's have a look, see what happened to Leonardo. Yeah, that's on the back of Peter van der Spey. And I think that was JJ van der Merwe. That was the other man that was involved with that. Let's go back to live. Let's go back lap 11 of a possible 16 laps. Almost 18 minutes into this one. It's Michael Stephen that leads out. Gerald Ferry is there and thereabouts. 1.1 second. No DRS zone, so that ain't going to help. There's Michael Briggs. There's Leon van Wyk. Willem Botha finds himself now a little way further back. If you take the total time that he is further back, probably about 12 seconds. Yep, 12.7. That Willem Botha finds himself behind the lead vehicles. Everybody has been in and out of the pits already, so we don't need that data whatsoever. So from the top end down, Michael Stephen, Gerald Free, Robert Briggs, Leon van Wyk, Willem Botha, Graham Stephen, Sandro Bakari, Swayze Hubert, Raymond Duggan right in there behind him, and right behind that, the recovering JJ van der Merwe in the green top, black bottom Fanatec sign bedecked vehicle. That was the other car, so I was correct with that one. That was involved in that last incident. Peter van der Spey and Stephen McCarthy, two of our older hands that are, and that is two of the big six that made it possible for Second Gear Productions to get the equipment that we have to hand at the moment to bring you this lovely 60 frames per second 1440p and bring you nice and smooth coverage of the racing for today. Stephen McCarthy, not in the Sugene Properties colors for once. He's always in his own colors. There's Wesley Lewin. It's Andre Steenkamp that's directly in there behind him. We've got 20 minutes has gone. 12 of the 16 laps has been done. The biggest fight is in fact Wesley Lewin. That's on the back end there of, well, he's actually got past at the moment. There's Wesley Lewin. He made sure that that one worked out very nicely for him. Stephen McCarthy on the back end of Peter van der Spey. Captain Pete second in class behind Sandro. 10th overall on circuit, which is a pretty decent result for Peter, seeing that this is not really his scene. He's more into the sports car side of things. Just about 4 minutes to go. The other man that's got himself into quite a battle is JJ van der Merwe. It looks like he's just probably had an off because he's running very slow there. I see Swayze Hubert has had an off as well. Let's see what happened to Swayze. All good under the brakes. Turns it in and just a little bit too much. And he's got to turn that Oreo car right around. That's going to be a difficult one. It's going to cost him a whole bunch of time. JJ van der Merwe in that lovely fight, and then behind that is another one, and that's the one with the Batmobile, which is now in the John Player special colors this evening of Andre Steenkamp. In there behind Wesley Lewin, and the two of them in behind Swayze Hubert. We're almost down to 3 minutes to go, and that 1.2 second gap between Gerald Ferrie and Michael Stephen, respectively second and first, has come down to under a second. But that's about it. I don't think Gerald Ferrie is going to be able to do anything more than shadow that man in front of him. Robert Briggs, yet another good race for Robert Briggs. I think he's really coming along strong. Leon van Wyk, as always, in the top 5. Willem Botha will not be happy with that one. He doesn't like 5s or 4s or 3s or 2s. He's accustomed to being right up front. The Stephen brothers split up in this one. Graham finding himself just outside of the top 5 and just ahead of the leading Grand Master. Is that Leon van Wyk that must have had it off there? All of a sudden going slowly. Graham Stephen in there behind Leon van Wyk. Stephen McCarthy still in that battle. That one hasn't come to an end. And Andre Steenkamp and Wesley Lewin, the two of them, still in that massive fight. Steenkamp has to look up on the inside line. He will, you see, you can't carry a lot of speed through there on that specific section of the circuit if you do a passing dive up on the inside. It slows you down a lot on the entrance, on the exit of the corner. But with not a lot of time left, Michael Stevens just got into a rhythm. He's actually had to up the pace because Gerald Ferrie's been closing on him, and Gerald Ferrie's now within a half a second of Michael Stevens. And this with a minute and a half to go. This is probably going to be at the end of this lap they're going to start their final lap. So this will be the penultimate 23 minutes 52. Yeah, they should get in one more after this. That's your first and second positions. Michael Stephen and Gerald Fourie. Look at the gap back there to Robert Briggs. He's on his way still up the hill. And Leon van Wyk, he's on his way up the hill still. The man with the fastest lap is really pushing it hard now. I think they're going to do one more lap after this one, quite probably, because it's 24 minutes 28 seconds. They're not going to make it to the start finish line before the 25 minutes is up. I have not seen a white flag anywhere. We'll just have to keep a shofty and make sure that it is the white that comes out for them. I'm pretty sure that it will be. Michael Stephen is probably hoping he could sandbag just a little bit. And yeah, it's the white flag. It's the last lap. Michael Stevens' problem is called Gerald Fourie. That's the only problem he's got. The two of them are 6 seconds away from that third place. Robert Briggs that goes into turn number 1, and he's got a decent gap. He's got a 9-second gap on Leon van Wyk. There you see the white flag in the background. There's Graham Stephen. He's just ahead of Willem. Willem has not been able to make it into the top 5. Brilliant drive. Sandro Bakari, can you believe it? On the white flag, he's in 7th overall. Raymond Duggan and JJ van der Merwe. There comes JJ. Johan Engelbrecht was the man that was out of sync in that little grouping there. There comes Peter van der Spey, Stephen McCarthy, Swys Hubert, very equidistant between them. Andre Steenkamp and Wesley Lewin. But we've got to watch that battle at the front, because now it's on. Now it's on. Gerald Faurie's all over the back of Michael Stephen. It's just a, 1, 2, 3 corners to go, and that's it. Will Michael Stephen close the line, or is he confident that Gerald Fourie will not go for a dive up on the inside? Gerald goes in deep and hard, and he gets up on the inside. They're side by side, but it's not going to be enough. It's a straight drive down now towards the very last corner. Michael Stevens just got to close it off. Gerald Fourie, utterly brilliant. Look at that. A deep, late entry into the corner. What a lunge. Michael Stephen from Gerald Fourie, and that's the way they ended. There was a lovely dice between the two of them. A lonely Robert Briggs wished he could have been part of that one. Going out into the last straight. Another good drive by Leon van Wyk, a man that's high up in the top 5 in the points. Graham Stephen and Willem Botha going one-on-one. Willem Botha just not being able on the last to get past Graham Stephen to get into that top 5. In the Labatt's car, my driver of the race, Sandro Bakari, utterly brilliant. What a drive, Sandro Bakari in the Grandmasters from Raymond Duggan. Then we've got JJ van der Merwe, the next man that comes through there. Peter van der Spey, second in class and 10th overall. Oopsie, but he losing it a little bit there. Stephen McCarthy, Andre Steenkamp, Wesley Lewin, Swys Hubert. Leonardo Bakari's a little bit further back. There he comes. You can see Sandro Bakari doing donuts in the sand there in the distance. And then Paul Webber, he must have had a problem somewhere, because he finds himself a long way back as Paul Webber, as he comes up and across the line. He'll be the last man. Let's have a look at what happened with Paul Webber, because he must have lost quite a bit of time somewhere. This shows up as an incident. Oh yeah, when you end up hooking reverse gear, first gear, get the wheels on the grass, get it back on the track, that did cost him quite a bit of time. So yeah, that did make a difference, there's no doubt about it. And that's the way they're going to end up. No result for Carl Lawrence and I did not start there for Yaz Samai. He didn't get any laps in at all. So let's have a look at that feature race. Let's see how that one plays itself out. There we go. That is your feature race results. What a brilliant, brilliant drive that was. I must, oopsie, let's just get that back up again, like that. Michael Stephen winning out there from a Gerald Fourie, just 0.2 of a second between the two of them. Robert Briggs from Leon van Wyk, Graham Stephen, Willem Botha, the two of them literally side by side. There was literally 100th of a second between them. In fact, yeah, it was slightly less than 100th of a second between the two of them. That was amazing stuff. Willem fighting till the end. Sander Bakari, my driver of the day. Lovely drive. In 7th position, winning out the Grand Masters from 10th overall, Peter van der Spey and Leonardo in a 14th overall. And Johan Engelbrecht and Carl Lawrence not having a good one there. Carl Lawrence, 10 laps before the end of the race, he was completely out of it. And Johan Engelbrecht, with the 2 offs that he had, it didn't work out so great for him. So that was the second race of the day, season number 11, Formula Fords at Donington. And that brought to you by Second Gear Productions. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you same time next week when we bring you the 6th round, which brings us halfway through season number 11 of Sports and GT Masters and Grand Masters. My name is Gary Fleming. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be with you. Cheers, everybody.